My sister and I awakened two systems at the same time. One was the clear system, which could clear anything by consuming stamina. The other was the stockpile system with space. As the older brother, I felt sorry for my sister's frail health since childhood, so I chose the clear system that would drain my stamina. My sister chose the stockpile system. Who would have guessed that a week later, the apocalypse would arrive, bringing extreme cold and hordes of zombies. I relied on the clear system to desperately eliminate the zombies, quickly becoming the city's hero, while my sister could only act as a warehouse manager in the rear. During one zombie horde assault, I was heavily injured and needed supplies to survive, only to find my sister had locked the safe house. She looked at me coldly and said, "Why should you become the hero while I'm just a warehouse manager?" When I opened my eyes again, my sister had already taken the clear system first. Clearly, she had also been reborn. I smiled. She didn't know the cost of the clear system at all. Using it consumed a massive amount of stamina, even for someone with my tough physique. After using it, I would be as weak as if I had a severe illness. For a delicate lady like her, who couldn't even twist open a bottle cap, one use would likely leave her bedridden for 3 days. Just as I opened my eyes, I heard my sister say, "The clear system on the right," the moment her finger touched the red icon. A wild grin of joy spread across her face. This time, it's my turn to become the hero admired by the world. Then she turned to look at me, her eyes full of pride and contempt. "Silly brother, you don't know yet. The strongest ability is already mine. This time, it's your turn to beg me." I slowly walked toward the abandoned stockpile system. "Jing-Ching, are you sure you want that one? That one looks like a combat type, it'll be tough." But Jing-Ching, now inflated with arrogance after obtaining the divine artifact, tossed her hair and pretended to be considerate. "Brother, I've thought it through. You've always protected me since we were kids. This time, let me protect you. All the dirty, tiring fighting work, I'll handle it. That golden one is probably just a storage space. It suits someone careful like you. You just take care of logistics and protect me." I sneered inwardly. She wants to turn me into her tool too, draining my worth like I protected her in the previous life. I ignored her, reached out, and gently touched the golden symbol before me. In an instant, a warm golden light enveloped me. System bound successfully. Host, Jing Bufan. Ability, Infinite Stockpile. Countdown to Apocalypse. 167 hours and 59 minutes. Meanwhile, Jing-Ching, already bound, was ecstatic. She swung her arm at the air. The crystal ball on the coffee table vanished the moment she swung. Jing-Ching's face turned pale. She clutched her chest and gasped for air, but then broke into a wild grin again. "It's real. It's real. I have that power now." She turned to look at me, her eyes no longer holding the dependence of the past, but pure arrogance. "Brother, I'm a bit tired. Get me a glass of water. Also, give me the bank card Mom and Dad left behind. I need to go out and buy some things to prepare." Her tone was like she was ordering a servant. I stared at my own biological sister, who in the past life had pushed me into the abyss, and slowly spat out one word: "Get lost." The air froze in that second. Jing-Ching's smile stiffened. She even wondered if she had misheard. Since childhood, I had always obeyed her every whim. "Brother, what did you just say? Are you still mad that I took the red system?" "But I did it to protect you." I said, "Get out." I stood up, looking down at Jing-Ching. "Besides, this is my home. The property deed has my name on it. I'm giving you 10 minutes to pack your things and get out of here." "Are you crazy?" Jing-Ching finally dropped the act. "This is Mom and Dad's house. How can you kick me out? And I've awakened the strongest power. Do you know what that means? The apocalypse is coming soon. Only I can protect you. If you offend me now, when you beg me later, I won't care." She was too confident, thinking I would still grovel at her feet like in the past life. I smiled, step by step closing in on Jing-Ching until I backed her into a corner. "The strongest power?" I slammed my fist into the wall beside Jing-Ching's ear. With a loud crash, Jing-Ching screamed in fright and ducked down, covering her head. "Your so-called power is just making your few raggedy clothes disappear? Have you forgotten? Your ability can only clear, not produce food. In 7 days, the temperature will drop to -60 degrees. Without food or clothing, even if you could make the whole building disappear, you'd freeze and starve to death." Jing-Ching trembled all over. She had indeed overlooked that problem. But soon, she stiffened her neck and shouted, "So what? I can steal. Whoever refuses to give me supplies, I'll make them disappear. As for you, what's the use of guarding a broken warehouse? In the end, you'll still have to rely on me. Is that so? Good luck then." I couldn't be bothered to argue with her anymore. I walked to the front door, grabbed the handle, and pulled it open. "Get out now or I'll have security throw you out. Don't forget, this is still a society governed by law. Let me be clear, I can call the police." Jing Qing stared at my resolute back. The venom in her eyes practically overflowed. Fine. Very well. Since you're being so heartless, don't blame me for being ruthless. When the apocalypse comes, I'll see how you beg me with that pile of junk. Jing Qing, don't you regret this? Jing Qing stormed into the room. Shoving whatever clothes and jewelry she could into a suitcase, she dragged it out the door in a fury. Before leaving, she shot me a vicious glare. This time, I'll make sure you die like a dog in front of me. The door slammed shut heavily. I leaned against the door, letting out a long, heavy breath. Step 1 was complete. With that backstabbing ingrate gone, I could finally go all out and fight. Then I pulled out my phone to check the time. January 15th, 2026, 10 a.m. Exactly 7 days until the apocalypse. I listed the house worth about $8 million. Online at 80% of its value. Combined with the inheritance my parents left, roughly $11 million, I needed to build a doomsday fortress capable of withstanding -70-degree cold and preventing zombie hordes, and stockpile enough supplies for one person to squander for many lifetimes. Preventing zombie hordes in a doomsday fortress, and stockpiling enough supplies for one person to squander for many lifetimes. This amount of money wasn't even enough to fill my teeth. Then I called the bank, mortgaging all my company shares and my current house. I dialed a few private loan numbers, then maxed out all the online lending platforms and credit cards. I was like a crazy gambler. I felt no excitement, only a sense of urgency. Money was just paper. Only tangible assets mattered. I drove the SUV I hadn't had time to sell yet, heading straight for the suburbs. My goal was clear, the abandoned cold chain logistics park in the western suburbs. It used to be the city's largest cold storage base, but it was abandoned after the boss fled with the funds. That place was remote, with open terrain all around, easy to defend and hard to attack. In the previous life, it was taken over by a gang. It became one of the largest survivor bases later on. This time, it's mine. I found the old caretaker in charge of the site. I directly threw out $20,000 in cash and told him I wanted to rent it for half a month to set up a horror-themed escape room. No contract, just the keys. Seeing that thick stack of red bills, the old man smiled so wide his dentures almost fell out. Without a second word, he handed over the keys. The moment I got them, I locked the main gate from the inside. I walked into the huge underground cold storage. Even though it had been abandoned for 2 years, being 10 meters underground, it was still cold and damp. The area was about 3,000 square meters with an 8-meter ceiling. System, scan the current space, I muttered in my mind. Scan complete. Semi-enclosed underground space detected. Suitable as a safe house modification base condition. Initiate spatial anchor? Once anchored, this space will serve as a material transfer station in the real world. You can use your thoughts at any time to teleport external supplies directly here, or release supplies from the system space here. Anchor set. Location. Secured. Next was to fill it up. I drove straight to the city's largest agricultural and sideline products wholesale market. I went on a crazy hoarding spree. My insane shopping spree shook the entire wholesale market. A mysterious young man buying in bulk like it was a wholesale job, even attracting the attention of the market management office. But I had already prepared a story. I told them it was for the annual supply stockpile for several large mines in remote mountainous areas. The mountains were about to be sealed off, so everything had to be ready in these few days. In this era where money paves the way, as long as the cash is right, no matter how ridiculous the reason, someone will help you cover it up. Night fell. The first batch of heavy trucks loaded with supplies drove into the abandoned western suburb factory. After all the workers finished unloading and left, I locked the iron gate again. The vast cold storage was piled high with supplies like mountains. I walked over to a 5-meter-high mountain of rice bags, pressed my palm against the bottom bag, and thought, absorb. Then the 50 tons of rice piled up like a mountain vanished into thin air. I closed my eyes and sank my consciousness into the system space. There, in that infinite white space, 50 tons of rice floated silently in midair, maintaining the same stacked shape as before. Time was frozen here. Even after 100 years, this rice would still taste fresh when cooked. Awesome, I couldn't help but growl. That feeling of taking everything into my possession, the thrill of controlling everything, was absolutely intoxicating. But this was just the beginning. With -60-degree extreme cold, without a heat source, all this food would freeze into solid rocks. I then bought 10,000 tons of anthracite coal, diesel, solar panels, and generators from a friend. With 7 days left, I not only had to stockpile enough food in this cold storage to last 10 lifetimes, but also transform it into a temperature-controlled fortress that even a nuclear bomb couldn't crack. Just then, my phone buzzed with a message. The sender was Jing Qing. The message was a photo. In the photo, she and her senior, Chun Su, were sitting in a high-end French restaurant. Poor big brother, kicked out of the house. Can only eat instant noodles now, right? My senior and I are celebrating our new life. If you kneel down and beg me now, I might consider sharing a piece of bread with you. I curled my lips into a mocking smile at the screen. Eat up, eat well. This is the last dinner of your lives that can be called human food. I casually replied with 2 words, where more, then blocked and turned off my phone. I stood on the suspended iron catwalk on the 2nd floor. Dozens of workers scurried like ants inside the belly of this steel beast. Boss, isn't this request a bit too much? The speaker was called Lao He. He was the most resourceful contractor around, but now, staring at the dense blueprint in his hand, Lao He also looked utterly baffled. 50 centimeters thick, aviation-grade aerogel insulation for the entire house, and on top of that, lining it with 2 layers of 20mm bulletproof steel plates. Are you building against an atom bomb or Godzilla? And you want to seal off all the original vents, leaving only 2 intakes with biochemical filtration systems installed. Lao He wiped the sweat off his forehead. Bro, this construction cost is no small chunk of change. The money has already been wired to your account. $5 million as a down payment. I want it done in 3 days. All materials must be in stock. If not, strip them from other construction sites. I'll pay triple the price to cover the difference. I turned and stared into Lao He's eyes. There's only one rule. Don't ask why. No photos, no posting on social media. I'll give you another $2 million as hush money after it's done. Lao He's Adam's apple bobbed violently. $7 million, that was equivalent to his usual 2 years' profit. Got it, boss, you're my dad now. Since you're so straightforward, Lao He will put it out there. If I can't deliver in 3 days, I'll twist my head off and let you use it as a soccer ball. Watching Lao He's pumped-up retreating figure, I opened the system and walked to a corner of the factory. There, a batch of special goods just delivered was stacked up. The huge wooden crates were pried open, revealing a dark, metallic luster. These weren't ordinary steel plates. They were high-voltage electric grid generators obtained through special channels, and military-grade riot-proof glass. In the early days of the apocalypse, the most terrifying thing wasn't zombies, but human hearts. When hunger and cold drive people to become beasts, ordinary rolling doors are as fragile as paper in front of a mob. The system stored all these building materials and then performed spatial fine-tuning according to the blueprint positions. Under the system's precise control, they seamlessly embedded into the skylight positions on the factory roof. As the last engineering vehicle drove away, the massive iron door slowly closed. Standing in the center of this steel fortress that belonged entirely to me, I looked at the mountain of supplies filling the room. Not enough. Far from enough. I glanced at my phone balance. Less than 500,000 left. The purchasing power through regular channels had dried up. Next came the free shopping night. At 2 a.m., Donggang Bonded Logistics Center. This was the city's largest import-export goods hub. Thousands of shipping containers stacked like building blocks on the dock, filled with top-tier goods from all over the world. I almost cleaned out the high-value warehouses in the bonded zone, until a slight headache pulsed through my brain. That was a warning of mental energy overuse. Reluctantly, I stopped, still wanting more. Just as I was about to withdraw, suddenly, a burst of noisy engines shattered the quiet of the night. Several black modified off-road vehicles roared into the port, stopping in front of a hidden warehouse not far away. The doors opened, and a dozen tattooed men jumped out. Leading them was a bald man shouting orders for his underlings to move cargo. Move it. Brother Long said this shipment must be gone tonight. The higher-ups have been keeping a close eye lately. The boxes they were moving had prominent hazardous material symbols. I squinted and activated the system's long-range scan. Scan results. TNT explosives, detonators, industrial nitric acid, weapons. My heart skipped a beat. This was a smuggling base for Haisha Gang, the city's largest underworld force. Looking at the TNT that could not only blow up zombies but also blast open any fortification, I licked my lips. This was practically a gift dropped from the sky. With these explosives, I'd have my ultimate trump card. Since I ran into it, sorry about this. I quietly used the system's space's properties, circled around to the back of the warehouse, and pressed my hand against the thin corrugated steel wall. This distance was just within the system's collection range. System, lock onto all explosives in the warehouse. Collect all. Inside the warehouse, the younger thugs who were moving goods blinked. The heavy boxes in their hands suddenly vanished out of thin air. The air went dead silent. A dozen gangsters stood frozen in their carrying poses, clutching air and staring blankly at each other. Holy crap, where are the boxes? Ghosts? Brother Long, something's wrong. The goods are gone. All gone. The bald boss rushed over, looking at the empty warehouse, his expression shifting from anger to terror, then to utter confusion. Who did this? Come out here. He wildly waved his pistol at the air. Meanwhile, had already taken advantage of the chaos to scale the port wall and disappeared into the night. Countdown, 24 hours. The city was still bustling on its last day, with no one knowing it was the world's final twilight. The Weather Bureau issued a blue cold wave warning. It was forecast that temperatures would drop by 10 to 15 degrees tomorrow. Nobody took it seriously. At worst, they just put on an extra pair of long underwear. I didn't go out again. I stayed in my fortress in the western suburbs, making final checks. All the doors and windows had been welded shut, leaving only a single main exit. I opened my phone and took one last look at my social feed. Jing had posted an update an hour ago. Though winter is coming, my heart is warm. Thanks for the surprise, senior. The future is bright. Let certain people rot with their dirty money. I smiled, a radiant smile. I gave it a like. Then I commented below, enjoy the last scenery while you can. Soon, it will get very lively. Just then, the drizzle outside the window suddenly stopped. Then a hailstone the size of a ping-pong ball slammed heavily against the bulletproof glass. Then a second, a third. Hail poured down like bullets, followed by a howling gale. The temperature began to plummet. An emergency news alert popped up on my phone screen. Breaking news. Due to an ultra-intense polar vortex, global temperatures will drop by 50 degrees within the next 3 hours. All citizens must return home immediately. Return home immediately. This is not a drill. The apocalypse had arrived. In just 10 minutes, the world outside had changed color. The road surface, in an extremely short time, was coated in a thick layer of black ice. Over a dozen cars collided, instantly bursting into flames. But before the fire could spread, it was suppressed by the freezing air, turning into a grotesque frozen state. People in the cars panicked, trying to push the doors open to escape, but the doors were already frozen shut. Some smashed the windows and climbed out. The moment they touched the outside air, it was as if all their warmth was sucked away, their movements instantly stiffening. The terrified expressions on their faces froze in place, turning them into lifelike ice sculptures. The indoor thermometer showed that the outside temperature had already dropped below -30 degrees and was still falling at a rate of 1 degree per minute. Inside the safe room, the temperature was a constant 24 degrees. I took off my coat, leaving only a thin t-shirt, and stuffed a piece of perfectly warmed Wagyu beef into my mouth. Ah, comfortable. At the same time, in a high-end apartment in the city center. So cold. What's going on? Why did the heating stop? Jing wrapped herself in the newly bought cashmere blanket, but she was still shivering from the cold. Just now, the entire residential complex's heating system had failed due to burst pipes. The indoor temperature had already dropped to -5 degrees. Although it wasn't yet lethal, for the pampered Jing, it was already hell. Senior, think of something. We're freezing to death. She nudged Chun-Su beside her. Chun-Su was also frozen stiff, frantically pulling on every piece of clothing he could find. Stop shouting. I'm cold too. What's with this damn weather, changing all of a sudden? Hurry and look for some hand warmers. They're all in that box. Jing pointed to the corner. The two of them scrambled to search, only to find fewer than 10 hand warmer packets left. This won't last the night. Oh right, your brother. Your brother's rich, isn't he? He must be staying in a big hotel or bought some heating equipment. Call him. Jing, grasping at straws, trembled as she grabbed her phone and dialed my number. Sorry, the subscriber you dialed is powered off. Damn it. Jing angrily threw her phone onto the sofa. That bastard. How dare he turn off his phone? Calm down, Chun-Su said, his eyes flickering. I remember now. I saw your brother at the wholesale market in the southern district before. I was far away, but I vaguely heard him repeatedly mentioning a glue factory and a factory. There happens to be an abandoned factory over there. He must be hiding there at a time like this. Let's go find him, right now. But look at the snow outside. Jing stared at the terrifying blizzard outside the window, hesitating. If we don't go, we'll die waiting. This snowstorm won't stop anytime soon. In a few more hours, the water pipes at home will freeze and burst. We have a car. The car has air conditioning. As long as we find your brother with your system, and my brains, we can still handle him. Then, his supplies will be ours. Greed overcame fear. The two bundled up in all their clothes, struggled downstairs, and squeezed into the car. The engine started. When the warm air blew out, both of them breathed a sigh of relief. Let's go. To the western suburbs. A trace of ruthlessness flashed in Jing's eyes. When I see that bastard brother of mine, I'll make him kneel in the snow and apologize, beg for my forgiveness for his earlier insolence. Meanwhile, in the western suburbs, I was staring at a corner of the monitor screen, where a few stray dogs were huddled together, trembling violently, when suddenly one of the dog's body began to convulse fiercely. Its eyes instantly filled with blood, turning a deep red, and a piercing, inhuman roar echoed across the wilderness. That mutated zombie dog lunged at its companion. Blood splattered onto the snow, instantly freezing into red ice crystals. This wasn't an ordinary virus. This was the cold damp plague. They weren't afraid of the cold. In fact, the colder it got, the more excited they became. I put down my chopsticks. Finally, it's here. I stood up and walked to the control panel. Pressed that red button. Level 1 Combat Readiness Defense Mode activated. The first line of defense around the factory. The high-voltage electric fence. Charged instantly, blue arcs crackling in the wind and snow. I raised my red wine glass and made a toast to the blizzard on the monitor from afar. Welcome to hell, my guests. The blizzard in the western suburbs had turned into a white disaster, visibility less than 5 meters. A white BMW X was struggling like a drunkard along the road, already buried in half a meter of snow. Why aren't we there yet? Didn't you say it was only 20 kilometers? Jing Qing sat in the passenger seat, wrapped in 2 down comforters, yet still shivering so hard her teeth chattered uncontrollably. Say shut up. Chun Su's hands on the steering wheel had lost all feeling, covered in purple frostbite. The navigation said it's right ahead. Damn it, I can't see the road at all. A sharp crack. The car lurched heavily, then completely died. The chassis was stuck on a solid ice ridge in the middle of the road. The car broke down. Chun Su pounded the steering wheel in despair, but his hand slammed into the cold leather cover, making him wince in pain. What? Jing Qing screamed. Do you want me to die here? Chun Su, you useless piece of trash. Shut up. If you're so good, you drive. Chun Su exploded too. The will to survive crushed his usual facade. Get out. That dark shape up ahead should be the factory. Let's walk there. The two had no other choice now. Staying in the car meant freezing to death. They wrapped their blankets tighter. Like 2 clumsy penguins, stumbling into the wind and snow. Jing Qing felt her lungs about to freeze solid. Every breath was like being sliced. Those 500 meters, a walk that normally took minutes, took them a full half hour. When that abandoned factory, like a steel beast, appeared before them, the two practically crawled to the main gate on their knees. But the sight before them stunned them. This was no abandoned factory. It was unmistakably a steel fortress. The old red brick walls were completely covered in a layer of silver-gray metal panels. Jing Qing rushed to the massive pure steel gate, pounding on the door panels like mad. Jing Bufan, I know you're in there. Open the door. Big brother, it's me, Jing Qing. I'm freezing to death. Open the door and let me in. Jing Bufan. I'm Chen Su. We're family. How can you watch us die? The two screamed at the top of their lungs, their voices quickly swallowed by the gale. Inside, I was sitting on a huge genuine leather sofa, facing an entire wall of monitor screens. The blurry red thermal images of 2 figures were pressed against the main door, like 2 pathetic shadows. In my hand, I held a glass of just decanted Lafite, gently swirling it, in a small copper pot beside me. Red oil boiled, emitting a maddening spicy aroma. System, activate the external speaker. I gave the order calmly. Activated. A burst of static came from the speaker outside, startling the two, followed by a lazy, calm voice tinged with mockery ringing out in the storm. Who's that? In the middle of the night, don't you know disturbing the peace is against the law? Hearing that voice, Jing Qing's tears fell instantly. Big brother, it's me. I'm your little sister. Open the door, it's too cold out here. We're going to die. Little sister, my voice was unhurried, accompanied by a slurping sound. TSK, this lamb offal soup is a bit overcooked. Who did you say you were? Jing Qing outside almost choked. I'm freezing out here like a dog. And you're inside eating hotpot, lamb offal at that. That damn imagination made her salivate instantly. Her stomach growled embarrassingly. Jing Bufan, don't play dumb. I know you can hear me. I'm Jing Qing, your only blood sister. Hurry up and open the door. Once I'm inside, I'll explain everything that happened before. It was all a misunderstanding. I set down my chopsticks and picked up the microphone. Watching that twisted face on the screen, my eyes suddenly turned cold. Telling me to get lost was a misunderstanding? Or is it that you wanting me to die like a dog in front of you was also a misunderstanding? That was said in anger. Jing Qing was panicking. Bro, you're a man. Why are you so petty? I was wrong before, I admit it. I'm apologizing to you now, alright? Sorry. Is that enough? Open the door now. This isn't an apology, it's an order. In his mind, as long as he lowered his head and said those 3 words, that was the rule. Too bad the rules have changed. If apologies worked, what would be the point of the police? I sneered. Since you're so full of backbone, then use your strongest ability to get in. Don't you have the clear system? This door is in your way, clear it out. Those words struck Jing Qing like a lightning bolt. Right. I have a system. Was he scared stupid? He actually forgot he had a system too. Fine, you won't open the door, then I'll open it myself. Don't come begging me then. A flash of ruthlessness crossed Jingqing's eyes. He took a deep breath. He slammed his frozen hand hard onto that door, energy surging in his eyes. Clear! A red light burst from his palm and violently struck the door panel. However, the expected scene of the door vanishing did not happen. Instead, that red light hit an invisible wall and instantly rebounded. The shock numbed Jingqing's arm and sent him tumbling backward onto the snow. The system warned. Target object density too high, reinforced by high-level energy, spatial anchoring. System current level LV1, cannot clear. Forced clearing requires consuming life force. No, impossible. Jingqing stared in disbelief at that motionless door. My system is the strongest. How? How can it not even open a door? From the loudspeaker came my merciless laughter. Forgot to tell you, this door I used. 5 million worth of aerospace-grade alloy. And my system just happens to counter yours. Your clear can't clear my hoard. Now get lost. Don't dirty the blood in front of my door. The loudspeaker shut off. Then the searchlights mounted on the door suddenly lit up, 2 harsh beams of light hitting both of them directly in the face. The glare forced their eyes shut. Jingqing sat in the snow, feeling the bone-piercing cold. Staring at that door that would never open, he experienced true despair for the first time. Half an hour passed. Jingqing and Chun Su didn't leave. Because the car was broken, they could only huddle in a wind-sheltered recess by the factory gate. What do we do? I can't feel my feet. Jingqing's lips had turned a dark purple, and ice beads hung from his eyelashes. Chun Su was even worse. She had given Jingqing one of her already sparse clothes, and now her whole body was shaking violently, her eyes beginning to glaze over. Don't fall asleep. If you sleep, you won't wake up. Just then, a rich, soul-stirring aroma drifted down from above. The two struggled to look up. Want something to eat? I stood on the second-floor balcony, holding the unfinished bowl of hotpot in my hands. Jing Bufan, please, give me a bite, just one mouthful of hot soup. Chun Su finally broke down. She knelt in the snow, kowtowing frantically toward above. I used to call you to play basketball. For the sake of our past friendship, save me. Friendship. I smiled, casually picked up a piece of freshly boiled fatty beef. When you locked me outside, did you talk about friendship? I let go, and that piece of steaming, oil-dripping fatty beef fell onto the pile of dirty snow in front of them. Chun Su instinctively lunged to grab it, but Jingqing was faster. He snatched that blood-stained meat, stuffed it directly into his mouth, and swallowed it without even chewing. In that instant of warmth, he let out a sound of satisfaction. Is it good? Good. All right, Jingqing nodded tearfully. Since we've eaten our fill, then get the hell out of here. My security system has detected some little ones attracted by the recent smell. Before the two could react, several pairs of green eyes lit up in the distant blizzard, and low growls carried over on the wind. It's those mutant zombie dogs. Damn, run. Chun Su reacted the fastest. He grabbed Jingqing and tried to dash out, but the ground was all ice and snow. Their feet slipped. They fell flat on their faces. The first zombie dog had already pounced, its bloody maw aiming straight for Chun Su's thigh. Help, Jing Bufan, help! Chun Su let out a pig-like scream. He kicked the dog frantically, but it felt no pain. In the critical moment, a vicious glint flashed in Chun Su's eyes. He grabbed Jingqing beside him and shoved her hard into the dog's mouth. Using her as leverage, he rolled away. Senior, what are you doing? Jingqing screamed in terror. As that stinking, bloody mouth was about to snap her neck, in that split second between life and death, the will to survive conquered fear. Jingqing stared at the dog's head hurtling toward her. The red icon in her mind flashed wildly. She roared in her heart. Disappear. The massive Tibetan Mastiff's head, just a centimeter from Jingqing's nose, was directly erased, leaving only a headless dog corpse that crashed heavily onto Jingqing, nearly crushing her and making her spit blood. Host has killed a level 1 mutant creature. Gained 10 experience points. Warning, physical exhaustion. Jingqing felt as if her body had been drained. Her vision went black, and she almost fainted. But she survived. This little drama is somewhat interesting. I lowered the telescope in my hand, a hint of amusement flickering in my eyes. Since you don't want to leave, I'll show you the way. My voice rang out again, laced with a devilish temptation. Go 200 meters east. There's a security booth where the old gatekeeper used to live. The glass is broken, but at least it has a roof. That's your only way to survive tonight. With that, the window sealed shut, leaving only the two people shivering in the dark, surrounded by a growing number of green eyes. Let's go to the security booth. Jingxing pushed the dog corpse off herself and stumbled to her feet. She didn't even glance at Chun Su. She remembered that shove. In the last second before the zombie dogs surrounded them, they scrambled and crawled into that dilapidated security booth. The booth was tiny, with wind coming through every crack. They used discarded planks and old newspapers to barely cover the windows. They collapsed onto the dusty floor, panting heavily. Jingxing, are you okay? Chun Su shuffled over and tried to grab her hand, a fawning smile on his face. Back then I was trying to push it away. Not you. Don't misunderstand. Get away from me. Jingxing coldly shook off his hand. After that ordeal, her innocent little white flower shell had finally cracked, revealing a selfish and cold-blooded core. Don't think I don't know what you're thinking, Chun Su. Before, I only kept you around because you were handsome and a good student. Now, you're just a piece of trash. Jingxing leaned against the corner, eyes closed, recovering her strength. From now on, if you dare lay a finger on me again, I'll make your head disappear just like that dog's. Chun Su shuddered. A flash of venom crossed his eyes, but he quickly hid it. He knew that now, with that terrifying erasure system in her hands, Jingxing could kill him with ease. He had to endure. Meanwhile, 2 kilometers away in the safe house basement, I lay in a constant temperature jacuzzi, holding a tablet. Though the public network was down, the military-grade satellite receiver I had installed still picked up global signals. On the screen, news from around the world scrolled. Emergency notice. The nation has activated the highest-level emergency plan. All official shelters are open. Survivors, please go to the nearest one. Shelter location for this city. Success Sports Center, shelter number 7. I looked at the coordinates. In the last life, that was indeed the city's largest official gathering point. But precisely because there were too many people, supplies ran out fast. Add to that poor management, and within a month, the infamous granary explosion happened, killing tens of thousands. Seems the course of history hasn't changed. I turned off the news and opened the system interface. Current total stockpile, 32,000 tons. System level, LV1. Experience, 0%. Upgrade condition, collect 10 level 1 zombie crystals. Crystals. In the last life, people didn't discover until the 3rd month of the apocalypse that the crystals in zombie brains could be used to enhance abilities. But I know now, even that fool, who was just now too busy killing dogs to save herself, left the most valuable loot lying in the snow. That's my experience pack. Can't waste it. I put on a carefully selected nano-insulated combat suit. Picking up my battle axe, I decided to go out for a stroll on this first night of the raging blizzard, to harvest my first gains and check if those 2 watchdogs had frozen to death. I wore a set of windproof, sealed nano-heated combat gear, and on a piece of wasteland in the western suburbs, 50 meters ahead, that pack of zombie dogs was circling the security booth. 7 in total. I adjusted my breathing and suddenly charged out from behind the snowdrift where I was hiding. The first zombie dog was still growling at the security booth, completely unaware. My axe had already reached it. With a dull thud, the battle axe cleaved straight through its hard skull. Killed 1 zombie dog, experience +5. That noise instantly alerted the other 6 vicious dogs. The leader, the largest Tibetan Mastiff zombie, whirled its head around, its faint blue glowing eyes locked onto me. Pushed off with its hind legs, its massive body charging at me like a tank. Just as it lunged within half a meter of me, I aimed my left hand at the ground beneath the Mastiff's feet. At that instant, the 2-meter diameter ice layer under the Mastiff, along with the frozen soil, vanished into thin air. The Mastiff lost its footing and plunged straight in, instantly costing it its life. I followed it down into the pit, my battle axe arcing through the air. SSHH. The axe blade sliced into the Mastiff's vulnerable neck joint. A grotesque dog head rolled off. Killed 1 zombie dog. Experience +20. Dropped item. 1 level 1 strength crystal core. Got it. Joy surged in my heart. I crouched down, enduring the stench, fumbled inside the Mastiff's skull, and soon pulled out a fingernail-sized crystal emitting a faint red glow. This was the hardest currency of the apocalypse. Crystal cores, the source of zombie power, and also the key to human evolution. Above the pit, the remaining 5 zombie dogs were still barking wildly, but too afraid of the pit to come down. I looked up and flashed a cruel smile. Don't rush. 1 by 1. You're all my experience packs. As I moved, I took out a modified shotgun from my space. For the next 5 minutes, I stood at the bottom of the pit like I was shooting at targets. The battle ended and I climbed out. I searched every corpse. Lucky, the 7 dogs gave me 3 crystal cores in total. The system experience bar had already grown to 45%. I tossed the cores into my space and walked toward the security booth. It was empty inside, only messy footprints and a line scratched into the wall with fingernails. Jing Bufan, just you wait. Ha! Pretty tenacious, huh? I let out a disdainful cold laugh. I wasn't worried those two grasshoppers could cause any trouble. In this apocalypse, I often suffered more than them, especially for those two who aimed higher than the sky but had thinner lives than paper. Since they went to an official shelter, they might as well enjoy the blessings there. That place was a true hell. I turned and left, my silhouette disappearing into the wind and snow. This trip not only verified my combat ability, but also confirmed one thing for me. In this world where rules had collapsed as long as I was strong enough, this place was my playground. And my next target was the city center's First People's Hospital. Not only were there zombies there, but also the antiviral serum I desperately needed. Though it couldn't cure all poisons, it could heal ordinary flu and infections crucial in the early stages. Meanwhile, at the East City's sports center, it had been turned into a temporary shelter. Thousands of survivors crowded at the entrance, a cacophony of cries, curses, and pleas blending together. Armed soldiers with tense expressions maintained order. Jing Qing and Chun Su mixed in the crowd, looking disheveled and miserable. "Stop! What do you think you're doing?" A soldier stopped the two trying to cut in line. "I'm an awakened one. I'm an awakened one." Jing Qing, as if clutching at a lifeline, waved her arms wildly and shouted, "I have powers. I'm special. Let me in. I need to see your commander." "Awakened one?" The soldier hesitated, although the higher-ups had issued a document about identifying people with special abilities. Too many imposters had shown up in recent days. "Prove it," the soldier said coldly. Jing Qing took a deep breath, barely enduring the dizziness from exhaustion and hunger, and reached out toward a huge concrete barrier on the roadside. "Disappear." A flash of red light, and that several hundred-pound concrete block instantly vanished. As if it had never existed, the crowd fell silent instantly. The soldier's pupils sharply contracted. He immediately picked up the walkie-talkie. "Police, a spatial type, no. An erasure-type awakened person spotted at the entrance. Awaiting orders." 5 minutes later, Jing Qing and Qinshu were led into a warm office. Behind the desk sat a middle-aged man in a military coat, who looked Jing Qing up and down. "You say your ability is erasure," Supervisor Wang said, twirling a pen in his hand. "How big of an object can you erase?" "Can you erase living people?" "I can erase anything within a 2-meter diameter." Jing Qing, finally feeling some confidence, spoke a bit more fluently. "I can kill living people too. On the way here, I killed a mutated Tibetan Mastiff." "I killed a mutated Tibetan Mastiff, sir. I'm a combat-type talent. I want a private room, I want meat." Supervisor Wang laughed, the expression of someone hearing a funny joke. "Combat-type, little girl? You kill one dog and think you're invincible?" He stood up, walked to the window, and pointed at the dense market outside. "Now there are tens of thousands of zombies. Your ability kills one at a time and exhausts you after a few uses. It's nothing on the battlefield. A sniper could do the same with one shot. But if..." Supervisor Wang shifted his tone, his gaze falling on the snow-covered runway outside. "Your ability might be useless for killing monsters, but it's perfect for other things. Now the roads are blocked by snow, supply trucks can't get in, and the airstrip is buried. We need to clear a path for life. Your ability is a godsend for shoveling snow." Shoveling snow. Jing Qing felt immensely humiliated. "I'm a female lead who awakened a golden finger, destined to become the queen of the apocalypse. And you want me to be a janitor? I won't do it. I'm an esper. How dare you humiliate me like this? I won't do it." The smile on Supervisor Wang's face instantly vanished. "No work, no food. Even awakened ones are paid according to labor. You can choose not to work, then get back out into the snow." He waved his hand, and the two soldiers beside him stepped forward, their gun barrels slightly raised. Qinshu's legs went weak, and he quickly tugged Jing Qing's sleeve, desperately signaling. "Jing Qing, don't be impulsive. Stay for now. Survive first." Jing Qing stared at the dark gun barrels, then thought of the freezing cold outside. His pride shattered. I'll do it." He gritted his teeth and lowered his head in humiliation. Half an hour later, Jing Qing was assigned to the special cleaning team, number 098. His job was simple: stand in front of the engineering vehicle, face the meter-thick snow ahead, and continuously release his skill. Erase. A section of the snow wall disappeared, and the convoy moved forward. Each time he used it, he felt his body drained. "Hurry up, what are you dawdling for? The convoy behind is waiting," the overseer shouted through a megaphone. Any slowness brought a torrent of scolding. Qinshu, having no ability, was assigned to the lowest-level carrying group. His task was to carry the bodies of those frozen to death or bitten to the incineration pit. The stench there could knock a person out, and there was always a risk of infection. But to survive, to get that half-moldy bun, he had to endure. Late at night, the two lay collapsed on the communal bedding under the bleachers of the gymnasium. Hundreds of people were crammed in here, the smell of sweat and feet mixing together. Jing-Qing looked at his red, swollen, and ulcerated hands, tears streaming uncontrollably. It shouldn't be like this. I have a system. I'm a reincarnator. He thought of Jing Bufan of that warm fireplace. Jing Bufan, you must be feeling pretty proud now. Jing-Qing clenched the dirty blanket, his nails digging into his flesh. Just wait. Once I climb up, once I meet the highest commander here, I'll make you spit out everything you've swallowed. At this moment, at the base hospital, the square at the entrance was packed with frozen zombie hordes. These things weren't dead. As soon as they sensed the heat of a living person, they would immediately awaken. System activate elite stance. I spent a small amount of energy to form a heat-insulating layer around my body, using the grappling hook to climb directly to the third-floor window. The third floor was the pharmacy with fewer zombies here. After dealing with a few wandering nurse zombies, I walked to the shelves and brushed my hand over them. Rows of medicines disappeared instantly. Just as I was about halfway through looting, intense gunfire erupted downstairs. I walked to the window and looked down. 2 modified riot vehicles had crashed through the hospital's main gate, and 7 or 8 fully armed thugs were shooting at the zombies. The logo on the vehicles was a black shark. The Black Shark Gang. It's them again. They must have realized the importance of medicine too. Coming to loot under cover of night. Enemies on a narrow road. I let out a cold laugh, and didn't rush to leave. Instead, I found a comfortable spot by the window to watch the show downstairs. The Black Shark Gang had heavy firepower. They quickly cleared a path and headed straight for the lobby elevator. But the gunfire was too loud. Not just the zombies in the square, but those from several surrounding blocks as well. Also drawn in, just as the Black Sand Gang members charged into the hall, the ground suddenly exploded. A giant zombie over 3 meters tall, with bulging muscles, burst up from underground. Level 2 mutant tyrant strength type. My pupils contracted slightly. A level 2 mutant appearing this fast? Holy shit, what kind of monster is this? The Black Sand Gang was terrified. Several AKs opened fire at once, bullets hitting the tyrant. Only a few splashes of blood erupted. The tyrant roared, casually grabbed a discarded hospital bed nearby, hurled it like a frisbee. 2 of the Black Sand underlings were smashed into meat paste. The area cleared instantly. Perfect chance. My eyes lit up. That tyrant's level 2 crystal core could directly level me up and likely unlock a new skill. I waited patiently for the Black Sand people to wear down the tyrant's stamina. 5 minutes later, the hall fell silent. All 7 Black Sand members lay dead, and the tyrant, badly wounded, was panting heavily. Crouched on the ground, eating corpses to recover. Now, I leaped from the 3rd floor like a fly. In midair, I pulled a bundle of Thunder Palm explosives from my space and lit the fuse. Here's a big gift for you. The tyrant opened its mouth wide, thinking it was food for a split second. Bit down. I rolled to the ground and hid behind a support pillar. The violent explosion shook the entire building. When the smoke cleared, the tyrant's head and neck were completely gone. Only a headless giant corpse lay in a pool of blood. I walked over, rummaged through the pile of flesh, and finally found a walnut-sized crystal core. Obtained level 2 strength crystal core +1. High purity energy source detected. Absorb and upgrade now? Yes. The crystal core instantly turned into a warm current, drilling into my palm. I felt all my bones crackling, power surging wildly. System upgrade successful. Current level LV2. New function unlocked. Spatial rift, basic. Consumes mental energy to create a 1-meter-long spatial rift in the real world. Ignores physical defense, cuts through anything, defense ignore. I stared at my palm, focusing my intent. A pitch-black thread like ink appeared at my fingertip. I lightly brushed it against the thick armor of the armored vehicle next to me. Swept across like cutting tofu the hard steel plate. Sliced open into a smooth gap, unbelievably strong. Satisfied, I withdrew my ability. Looked at the 2 armored vehicles still running, packed with supplies the Black Sand Gang had looted over the past few days. Thanks, brothers. I waved at the corpses on the ground. Took everything, vehicles and goods, all packed up. This hospital trip not only got me food and a level up but also a nice bonus score. Now this is how the apocalypse should be. Day 15 of the apocalypse, official shelter number 7. The air here was no longer circulating, filled with the stench of sourness and despair. The stadium that once held 50,000 now had fewer than 30,000. Order had collapsed. As the generator finally sputtered out, the last glimmer of civilization's light vanished. In the darkness, people were no longer human but starving beasts. No food? Open the warehouse. The officer is hoarding it for himself, leaving us to chew bark. The riot erupted without warning. Thousands of starving, red-eyed survivors broke through the guard's line, flooding like a tidal wave toward the central management area. Gunfire, screams, and snarling mixed together. Jing Qing huddled in a corner of the bleachers, clutching tightly that long blunted snow shovel. The past week had been hell for her. Her once fair hands were now covered in frostbite and blood blisters. That clearance system had reduced her to high-intensity slave labor. Jing Qing, run. This place is done for. Chen Su rushed over, panicked. I heard the monster horde outside has already breached the defense line. This place is about to become a dead zone. Run? Where to? Jing Qing looked despairingly at the blizzard outside. 60 below zero out there. Step out and die. Go to the west suburbs. Find your brother. Chen Su grabbed her shoulders and shook her hard. I thought it through. We couldn't make it with just 2 people before. But if we bring these thousands along, no matter how strong your brother's fortress is, can it hold off an army and thousands of madmen? Jing Qing froze. Chen Su's voice was like a devil's whisper. You know, Director Wang has a few armored vehicles and heavy weapons, right? If you tell him there's an underground fortress in the west suburbs stocked with supplies, with heating and electricity, what do you think he'll do? Jing Qing's expression changed, from despair to venom, finally hardened into a mad resolve. Yeah, why am I struggling in hell? While you, Jing Bufan, enjoy paradise. Since you refuse to open the door and save me, then I'll bring hell to your doorstep. If we're going to die, we'll die together. In the core office, Manager Wang, sweating profusely, directed his subordinates to destroy documents. Prepare to evacuate, sir. I know a place. Jing Qing burst in, ignoring the guns aimed at her, and shouted loudly, I know where the supplies are. Tens of thousands of tons of supplies, generators, and absolutely safe fortifications. Manager Wang whirled around, staring hard at her. What did you say? If you're lying, I'll shoot you right now. I'm not lying. It's my own brother's place. He's a hoarding type awakened. Before the apocalypse, he emptied all the cold storage in the city. It's at the abandoned factory in the western suburbs. If we take that factory, we can survive. Everyone can survive. Manager Wang's eyes lit up with the greedy gleam of salvation in desperation. Good. Very good. Pass the order. Everyone listen up. Anyone who doesn't want to die, anyone who doesn't want to starve, come with me. Target, western suburbs. Whoever takes it down can take whatever supplies are inside. The news spread through the shelter like a virus. There's a grain depot in the western suburbs. A selfish rich second generation hoarded tens of thousands of tons of meat. Kill him, rob him clean. The mobs that had been slaughtering each other suddenly had a common goal. Half an hour later, a convoy led by 5 armored vehicles, followed by a dozen modified trucks with a massive procession of thousands of survivors trailing behind, charged into the blizzard. Jing Qing sat in the lead armored vehicle, holding a piece of compressed biscuit given by Manager Wang. A cruel smile curled at the corner of her mouth. This time I brought an army to pay you a New Year's visit. Let's see how you keep your door closed. At the very rear of the column, the horde of corpses drawn by the scent of the living silently followed. Death was closing its net. The alarm of the steel fortress did not sound. Instead, a stirring symphony of fate played. I wore a black tactical trench coat. Standing at the bulletproof floor-to-ceiling window on the second floor, holding a glass of red wine, I looked down at the long dragon crawling in the snow in the distance. Finally here, watching the dense red dots on the surveillance screen, the corner of my mouth lifted. The system interface popped up a warning. Large-scale hostile targets detected approaching. Enemy configuration, armored vehicles ×5, heavy machine guns ×3, equipped with rocket launchers ×4, awakened ×12, and over 3,000 armed thugs. Followed by targets at the rear, zombie horde ×5, 000, secondary mutants ×3. They really think highly of me. I took a small sip of red wine, completely unfazed. I was even a little excited. These days at home I was bored out of my mind, upgrading my abilities and watching old movies. The thrill of dancing on a knife's edge, that's the greatest joy of the apocalypse. The convoy stopped at a distance of 500 meters from the factory. Manager Wang's voice came through the loudspeaker. Jing Bufan in there. Listen up. We are the official rescue team of shelter number 7. We are legally requisitioning your supplies and shelter. Please disarm immediately and open the gates. If you cooperate, we can grant you the status of special advisor and guarantee your safety. Special advisor? I sneered into the microphone. You mean special slave? My voice echoed through the speakers across the whole site, with undisguised mockery. Manager Wang, right? I remember from the last life. His face darkened. He didn't expect the other party to be so uncooperative. He refuses a toast only to drink a forfeit. Jing Qing, didn't you say you could break through the door? Go up and call out. Let me see what clear out means. Jing was pushed out. Holding a megaphone, she stood on top of the armored vehicle. Jing Bufan, you are surrounded. Look at these people. They're starving to death. You're hogging all these supplies by yourself. Doesn't your conscience hurt? If you open the door now, everyone will remember your kindness. Otherwise, when we charge in, you'll be torn to pieces. Torn to pieces. I shook my head and gently placed my finger on a red button on the control panel. Sister, you think bringing all these people is a threat to me? No. You're just delivering heads to me. Open fire. Manager Wang lost patience. An RPG rocket screamed toward the factory gate. However, just as it was about to hit the gate, an invisible barrier lit up. The rocket seemed to hit a mirror, turning around eerily and shooting directly toward a nearby truck. That truck, loaded with explosives, was instantly blasted into scrap metal. What? Everyone was stunned. Counterattack. Fire. Countless bullets rained down like a storm, spattering against the wall but only kicking up sparks, barely even scratching the paint. I snapped my fingers. My turn. Then I pressed the button. Defense System Sequence 2. Minefield activated. The snow under the lead rioter's feet suddenly collapsed. Hundreds of mines exploded in succession, instantly staining the snow red. Hundreds of people were vaporized. Retreat. Fall back. The crowd panicked and pushed backward, but those behind were still charging forward, turning the scene into a chaotic mess. Just then, a deafening roar came from the snowfield behind. Drawn by the explosions and the scent of blood, thousands of zombies finally bared their fangs. Driven by the blood, they lunged like mad dogs into the rear of the crowd. Help! Zombies! Zombies behind us! Caught between two sides. Jing, use your ability to clear the minefield ahead. Hurry! Supervisor Wang, red-eyed with rage, pressed his gun to Jing's head. Jing trembled in terror. He desperately unleashed his clearing ability forward, but the minefield was too large. His meager stamina was like a drop in the bucket. In less than a minute, blood gushed from his nose, and he collapsed on the roof of the car. I can't do it. I really can't. Useless. Supervisor Wang kicked him off the car, climbed into the armored vehicle, and tried to turn around and flee. But how could I let him escape? Since you're here, leave something behind. I stood on the balcony and raised my right hand. Pointing at the armored vehicle that was turning, I unleashed the void condensed mist spatial power. A visible black crack streaked through the air without a sound. That armored vehicle, weighing over a dozen tons, along with Supervisor Wang inside, was sliced cleanly in half. The entire scene fell into dead silence, as if everyone was awed by the force of that strike. Is this the power of a god? Chun Su hid among the pile of corpses, looking at the man standing high above, like a deity, and his pants were instantly soaked. The battle lasted 3 full hours. Except for a few who fled into the depths of the snowfield amid the chaos, the team of over 3,000 was nearly wiped out, with bodies strewn everywhere. The heat from the blood melted the snow, then quickly froze into a thick layer of red ice, turning this place into a massive open-air morgue. I also took care of most of the zombie horde with heavy machine gun fire. Chun Su and the others were lucky. Kicked off the car at the start, they hid under the wreckage of the armored vehicle, playing dead, barely surviving until now. The gate slowly opened. I carried that tactical axe in my hand. I walked step by step toward the two. Brother. Jing knelt on the ground, his face covered in blood. He crawled toward me like a dog. I was wrong. I was truly wrong. I was forced. It was Supervisor Wang who made me come. You know that. I'm the most cowardly. Yes, they forced us. Brother, no, Fanyi. For the sake of our past bond, just let me go like a fart. I'll be your slave for life. I stopped 2 meters in front of them, saying nothing. Instead, I took out a set of tables and chairs from my space. Then I brought out a small red clay stove, lit it and set up a pot. I poured water and added some seasonings. Soon the aroma spread again. I also took out a plate of thinly sliced lamb. I leisurely started hotpot cooking. Want some? I picked up a piece of meat and blew on it to cool it. Jing and Chun Su's throats bobbed. Their eyes were full of longing, but even more so, fear. Give me a bite, please. Jing cried and begged. This scene is so familiar. I put the meat in my mouth and chewed slowly. In my past life, I begged you the same way. Through that door, I begged you for a sip of water, even just a piece of expired cookie. What did you say? Jing trembled, not daring to speak. You said supplies are for useful people. Waste doesn't deserve to waste air. I put down my chopsticks and stared at them with icy eyes. Now I return those words to you. I stood up, the tactical axe in my hand glinting coldly under the moonlight. Chun Su, I called out. Chun Su, thinking he had a chance to live, quickly looked up. You said you love Jing Qing and are willing to die for him, right? Go on. Chan Su hesitated, glanced at Jing Qing beside him. If you kill him, I'll let you come in and eat hot pot, and give you a warm room. My voice was full of temptation. I could even give you an evolution serum, let you become an awakened one. A dagger was thrown in front of Qinshu, the ultimate test of human nature. Oh my. Jing Qing stared at Qinshu in terror, backing away step by step. Who said you wouldn't do it? We are lovers. Qinshu looked at the dagger, then at the warm, brightly lit fortress behind Jing Bufan. Then he looked at the filthy, worthless woman before him. In that instant, the mask called love shattered completely. Qinshu lunged for the dagger, his face twisted, and threw himself at Jing Qing. Jing Qing, you heard it. If you die, I live. You have no supplies left anyway. What's dying for me? Jing Qing let out a scream. Her survival instinct unleashed her last bit of strength, empty. Though her stamina was drained, this blow still landed. The dagger in Qinshu's hand vanished into thin air, but his body had already collided with Jing Qing. His hands clamped around her neck. Die! Die! Don't get in my way! The two rolled in the blood, clawing at each other like wild beasts. Ugly. Utterly ugly. I watched coldly, as if watching a farce, until both collapsed, gasping on the ground. Jing Qing's face was torn. Qinshu lost one eye. Brilliant. It clapped. But I lied to you. I walked up to them and raised my axe. My safe house never takes in trash. In the midst of their desperate screams, the axe fell. Blood splattered across the pure white snow, like a blooming plum blossom. The grudges of this life were finally settled. Without a pause, I turned and waved a hand. The corpses on the ground and the wreckage of the armored vehicle in the distance. All were sucked into the system's recycling bin. The entrance was spotless again. Back inside, I walked to the huge floor-to-ceiling window and watched the raging blizzard outside. The world was dead, but I was alive and I would live well. I took a bottle of Jintang whiskey from the liquor cabinet, poured 2 glasses. One I spilled on the ground, toasting the foolish self of the last life. One I raised to the sky, saluting the cruel yet splendid new world. Hello, Apocalypse. I am Jing Bufan, the king here.